What is death according to spirituality, mysticism, and philosophy? What if death is not the end, but a doorway? What if the you that you think can die was never truly born? Across spiritual traditions, mystical paths, and deep philosophies, one truth echoes. Death is not a final event. It is a transition, a shift in consciousness, not a disappearance. Many spiritual teachings say that the real you is not the body, not even the mind, but a pure awareness, an eternal observer. When the body falls away, this awareness doesn't vanish. It moves. But where? Some say the soul returns to its source. Others describe realms beyond the physical, planes of light, lessons, and liberation. In Tibetan mysticism, the soul enters bardos, or transitional states, each revealing deep truths. These are not places of punishment or reward, but reflections of our inner state. Heaven and hell? According to mystics, they're not physical locations. They're states of consciousness. If your mind is filled with love, peace, and clarity, you may enter luminous realms. If it's clouded by fear, anger, or regret, you may experience darker reflections, until you awaken again. Philosophers like Socrates believe that death was not to be feared. Why? Because either we go into a dreamless sleep, or we awaken to a greater existence. Either way, it's not an end. In Hinduism and Buddhism, death is part of the cycle of samsara, birth, death, and rebirth. But this cycle isn't a trap unless we remain unconscious. Each life and each death is a chance to evolve, to let go, to rise. The soul is seen as a traveler, journeying through many lifetimes, shedding layers of ego, learning love, compassion, and truth. Each death is a graduation, not a punishment. Mystical traditions agree, the soul is never destroyed. Only the outer form changes. Like a butterfly leaving its cocoon, death is a transformation, not a tragedy. But here's the deeper secret. Some mystics say you've already died countless times, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Every time you changed, let go, or were reborn from hardship, that was a kind of death. So what we fear isn't death itself, but the unknown, the uncertainty, the moment when the illusion of control disappears. But there is light beyond that darkness. According to ancient texts like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, if you recognize the pure light of your own consciousness in the moment of death, you can be free. Free from illusion, free from fear, free from the cycle. Because you are not just a person. You are consciousness itself, timeless, spaceless, limitless. Death, then, is not a punishment or an enemy. It is a mirror. It shows us what we cling to, what we fear, and what we truly are. So the question isn't, what happens when we die? The question is, what are we right now, beyond this body, beyond this story? And if we can answer that, maybe we'll find that death isn't the opposite of life. It's the completion of one chapter and the beginning of another. What is consciousness and what happens to it after death? The brain or physical body, it is a universal principle, an eternal spark that connects every living being to a vast cosmic intelligence. In this view, consciousness survives physical death and remains intact, journeying through various PLS of existence. Mystical traditions often describe consciousness as the soul or spirit, a boundless awareness that transcends the temporary and material nature of the physical form. This enduring essence of consciousness is what travels through different realms or states after death. Mystics believe that consciousness is an infinite field and that life itself is an expression of this field manifesting temporarily in physical form. The death experience is simply consciousness, withdrawing from the physical shell to re-emerge in its pure form. But what is the purpose of knowing what happens after death for ancient cultures? Understanding death was as crucial as understanding life itself. Death is not merely a topic of curiosity, but a profound means to understand the nature of existence and Purpose: the Tibetan Book of the Dead, along with other mystical texts, serves as a guide for the dying process, designed to assist the soul in achieving liberation and avoiding the pitfalls of fear, attachment, and ignorance that bind it to further cycles of birth and death. Preparation for death is considered essential, as the mindset and consciousness of the moment of death are believed to have a significant impact on the soul's journey. Beyond, by mastering an awareness of death, individuals can become liberated from the fear of it, achieving an inner freedom that enhances the spiritual journey, both in life and in the afterlife. Bardo, it means between, in. What is Bardo, and why our souls go there? To 3 different Bardos. Tibetan mysticism. Bardo means intermediate state or in-between state. The BAU refers to various transitional realms that the soul navigates not only after death, but also during other transitional moments in life. Each BAU serves as an opportunity for transformation, growth, and transcendence. The BAU is a place of liminality, a moment when the usual boundaries of time, identity, and material reality are suspended, allowing the soul to perceive reality from a broader, more profound perspective. There are different types of B states. The Tibetan Book of the Dead outlines 6 Bardos, each corresponding to a stage of consciousness that presents a unique set of experiences and opportunities for liberation. The very first state of the Bardo states is the natural Bardo of this life. This is the Bardo experience during our waking life, where we are actively shaping our consciousness and karmic patterns. This stage offers the most profound opportunity for preparation, as it allows us to work with our consciousness directly through meditation, ethical living, and detachment. The second state of the B states is the painful B of dying. This is the stage when the soul begins to separate from the physical body. This B marks the beginning of the soul's journey, where each element, earth, water, fire, air, and space, dissolves, and the individual begins experiencing detachment from physical sensations. It is a time of powerful visions and sensations, often described as challenging and disorienting, as the final moments of life approach. Tibetan teachings describe a journey through dissolution, a gradual unraveling of the body, mind, and self. This process unfolds like a sequence of doorways, each opening into a more subtle realm of awareness. As the physical body fades and the energetic core begins its release here, death is not simply an end, but a profound mystical passage. The journey begins with the earth dissolving into water. The body, once strong and steady, now feels frail. Strength slips away, and a sense of weight and gravity overtakes it, as if the person is sinking or being gently compressed. This heaviness, however, is not merely physical. It is the body's farewell to the stability it has always known. As water dissolves into fire, bodily fluids dry up, and a growing thirst signals the start of this inner drought. Warmth begins to fade from the hands, feet, and face. Slowly retreating inward, the individual may feel a dimming, as if life itself were withdrawing. Moving closer to the center, next fire dissolves into air, and her warmth fully departs the body. A coolness settles, and with it, visions may come. Flickering light sparks or vague undulating shapes that float before the mind's eye. It is as though the inner fire, the spark of life, is surrendering itself, leaving only a gentle breath with the fading of air into space. Breathing becomes shallow light as a whisper. Thoughts and sensations drift, scattered like leaves. On a windless day in the Soulmates, the mind begins to sense a vast emptiness and all-encompassing quiet. As perceptions blur, a sense of boundless space expands, as if the self is slowly melting into the great unknown. Finally, space dissolves into pure consciousness, and all that remains is awareness, bare and boundless, freed from the body, the mind, and identity itself. This consciousness is described as a luminous, radiant presence. It is an opening, a last precious gateway into the realm beyond form. Tibetan wisdom teaches that this moment is sacred, a threshold where the consciousness can perceive its truest nature, luminous and vast. For those trained in these teachings, death is not feared, but approached with deep reverence as an opportunity for liberation. If in these fleeting moments one can recognize the light of pure awareness, they may transcend the cycle of rebirth and suffering, merging with an endless, profound peace. This is the ultimate Passage, a journey of transformation through dissolution, where what remains is a glimmer of the eternal. Before we continue, please like and share this video. The third state of the bardo. Where and how do we choose our next family, and where to be born, based on Tibetan teachings and spiritual mysticism? According to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the journey of the soul after death moves through various states known as bardos, intermediate, realities that bridge life, death, and rebirth. One of the most profound of these is the luminous bardo of Dharmata, where the soul confronts the pure light of ultimate truth, a radiant, formless awareness free from ego and illusion. In this space, liberation is possible, instant and eternal, but only if the soul recognizes the light as its own true essence. This light is not external. It is the reflection of our deepest spiritual nature, vast, non-dual, and beyond thought. For the soul prepared by practice and inner clarity, this is the moment of enlightenment. But for those still bound by fear, attachment, and ego, the light is overwhelming and the opportunity slips away. As the clear light fades, the soul begins to experience visions, peaceful or wrathful deities, symbolic projections of its own, karma and consciousness. These aren't gods in the external sense. They're reflections of the soul's inner state, manifestations of unresolved emotions, patterns, and attachments. Each figure is a mirror, inviting the soul to let go of illusion and reclaim its truth. If the soul fails to recognize these visions for what they are, it enters the karmic bardo of becoming, a realm shaped by the powerful energy of past actions. This is where the soul begins the process of rebirth. Guided not by a judge, but by the natural law of karma, the soul is magnetically drawn toward a new life. This pull isn't random. It's a resonance, a vibrational match between the soul's unresolved karma and the circumstances it still needs to experience, heal, or complete. The soul may encounter visions of potential parents, each carrying a frequency that mirrors its own. These are not conscious choices in the way we choose a meal or a job. They are energetic attractions. The soul is pulled, not pushed, into its next incarnation. For most, the process is unconscious. But for more advanced souls, those who have cultivated awareness, love, and spiritual insight, a conscious choice is possible. They may select their next birth environment, choosing a family, culture, or life situation that will accelerate their growth and bring them closer to liberation. Still, as the soul approaches birth, it passes through the veil of forgetfulness, a mercy of nature. This veil erases the memory of past lives, allowing the soul to fully engage in the new incarnation without being overwhelmed by the weight of its history. Yet, traces remain. In dreams, sudden intuitions, or childhood memories, echoes of the past may rise again. Spiritual practices such as meditation, lucid dreaming, and mindfulness help pierce this veil. They awaken memory, restore clarity, and prepare the soul to consciously navigate the bardos in the future. The dream bardo, one of the lesser-known states, occurs in sleep and mimics death, temporary separation from the body, filled with symbols and illusions. It can be trained. Through dream yoga, practitioners learn to remain conscious in their dreams, preparing the mind for death by seeing through illusions in life. Finally, there is the bardo of meditation. In this state, the ego dissolves, and the practitioner may directly experience the clear light of awareness even while still alive. These moments are glimpses of what comes after death and are training for the soul's final journey. So, where and how do we choose our next family? The answer is mystical, not material. It's not a choice from a catalog. It's an attraction, based on energetic resonance, karma, and the soul's deeper intentions. In this way, birth is not the beginning, and death is not the end. They are doorways in the soul's ongoing journey, steps along the path of awakening.